Now I'd like to invite the fourth original paper in this segment titled Conversational AI, Humanizing Surveys for Better Respondent Engagement.
All right, so I'm hoping that all of you are still awake after that wonderful lunch we just had. Before you start wondering, yeah, that's me. I am Mohit Shant. So apparently this image tells us that with a little bit of Photoshop and a little bit more of butter chicken, you can actually get things bigger, right? So conversational AI, humanizing survey for better respondent engagement. I think in the past 50, 60 years, a lot has happened in terms of data collection. Earlier, we used to have surveys, door-to-door surveys, pen and paper surveys, CATI, right, face-to-face surveys. But I think with the enhancement of data collection methodologies, technology taking the center stage, somehow we lost the human touch with the respondents, right? Data, respondents, everything was a commodity, right? And I think with this initiative, what we want to do is we want to bring that human element back to data collection. So why conversational surveys? Definitely the first thing that we want to achieve with these conversational surveys are to bring the lost human touch back to the surveys, make surveys more engaging, because we human beings, we love to have good conversations with each other. Survey bots, conversational surveys are very difficult to crack by the bots. The conversational surveys definitely give a hard time to the bots. You can have more focused, deep dive sections, or let's say conversations or interactions within these conversational surveys. Also, the conversational surveys are dynamic in nature. You can alter the flow of the survey very quickly, very easily, based on the input that we get from our respondent real time. So we actually got asked this question a lot. Can we really make survey conversational? Some of the key elements of the conversational survey are it is good in actually making human-like interactions. The surveys are dynamic in nature, and definitely it has to be capable in terms of doing focused deep dives, right? And what I mean by focused deep dive is that you're talking to a respondent with the help of this machine, or let's say a bot, right? And the system needs to be intelligent enough to actually understand the overall sentiment, the emotion of the respondent, and then ask subsequent questions rather than just following a predefined survey kind of environment where the questions are getting to the respondents based on the skip logics and whatnot. So can we really make surveys conversational? I know some of you are going to hate the thing that I'm going to just show on the slide. Yes, it's possible, and we can do it with the help of Gen AI, right? Something that we talked a lot. Okay, I'm not going to bore you with Gen AI, right? The definition, the history, the details. I think from yesterday we are talking a lot about it. The real question, how we made surveys conversational, right? So on the screen you can see it's a 5-element mechanism, right? So we start with creating a survey template whose interface is almost like a chat interface. The multi-agent architecture, which is utilized to actually control the interactions or the conversations between the respondents and the bots. Prompt tuning, giving more context to the LLM in accordance to the objective of the research and the data collection needs. The backend data model, so the backend data model, it needs to be designed in a way that it actually captures the survey responses in a way that it is easy to understand and ready for analysis. And definitely last one is the integration of all these elements to create a survey that is conversational in nature. So the next part will be taken care by Faisal. Over to you, Faisal.
Thank you, Mohit. So, yep. So here is a multi-agent architecture. So before getting into the multi-agent architecture, actually we need to understand what agent means here, right? So agent, again is a simple representation of an LLM which has been engineered to do, which is engineered to do some specific task. Now, again, when we look from a project perspective, each of us have some role to play. In the similar way, we have agents. So we have input governance agent. Now this is more of we are already talking about AI, but we haven't talked much about ethical AI, right? So ethical AI here means whatever we are passing on to LLM or these large language models and whatever we are getting from it, it should be in a form where we can consume it easily. And we need to make sure like the governance model is there where if anyone is questioning anything on the survey, when they are taking the survey, they can ask if anything is not clear to them. So that question should go to the input governance module first, and this particular LLM just tells you like the question does not hold any kind of sensitive information, and also it checks for profanity. So until unless it passes through the input governance model, it's not going to pass on to the other modules. So that is how it has been trained. Now when I talk about the survey moderator agent, it's completely built on the actual survey. So the whole input from the user is coming in terms of the static question as well as what user has asked during the whole session. It all goes as a context to the survey moderator agent, and it just tries to understand like if all the information which has been passed, does it make sense? If is it relevant to the survey or not? Then well, it will respond to it. Third thing is like the response feedback agent. I think this is very critical because whatever response LLM is giving us, we cannot directly show it to the users because it can be wrong. We have a feedback loop here. Now, whatever response we are getting from this LLM, it goes back to this feedback agent, which verifies it. Like, if that output is valid or not in terms of, there should not be any sensitive information. It should not be biased, all those information, right? Now the last one is output governance agent. I think this is the last agent which we have put in place just to make sure the final output which we are getting from the response feedback agent, it should be as it has been mentioned here, like it should not be demographic biased or any kind of biasness. It should not come in because the user who is taking the survey, it should feel relevant to that user. So that is why we have all this multi-agent architecture, so that from start to end we don't make any mistake in terms of providing the response to the user, and it is always relevant. Okay, so we conducted it on 3 different studies. We validated it as well. It's not only which we have formalized, but we tested it across 3 different studies. Same with the standard and conversational surveys. 150 respondents each, and we tracked some KPIs like quality, length, and engagement of the survey. Can you go to the next one? Yep. So if you look at the result, I'll just tell you the key insights out of it. I think quality, if you look at the conversational AI perspective, it has improved a lot in terms of straight liners. We are not seeing any straight liners in the survey, right? Now, when we look at the open-end responses, it again inclined towards conversational AI with 2 of the responses not good in one of the survey, but rest again we are seeing a good quality response. Now these are not only validated by AI, but it is also validated by the researchers. Then comes the response time. Okay, so response time is little higher at the conversational AI side, just because it's a conversation form. So user asks some questions when we ask question. If they don't understand particular response, if they don't understand particular option, they can put up that question and try to understand in real time. So it increases the overall survey length. Consistency, I think we have seen like across all the responses which we got from the users, it all aligns in terms of the quality, and then whatever responses they are putting in. Okay, I think I'll just pass on to the
Okay, based on our initial experiments and the limited experience that we have in the field of creating conversational surveys, we know that there are a couple of use cases where we can just directly use them. So, CSAT, CES, in the moment surveys, concept test, pricing research with some alternate designs or layouts to our typical conjoints, feature test, and so on. Like it works, right? Okay, what we learned out of this exercise, and this is something that we are actually experimenting from last 2-3 years to make survey more conversational in nature. Survey length is something which is kind of, I won't say problematic, but typically the conversational surveys are little longer as compared to your typical research surveys due to the nature of the interface, due to the nature of the questions that are getting asked. Then the next one is we can actually do a lot of deep dives, can ask a lot of information in the conversation, but I think we as researchers need to tap the right balance between the information that we are getting and what we are asking from the respondents. Definitely, a lot of work still needs to be done on the side where we can ask complex question types like multi-attribute grids, complex conjoints, and max divs, image highlighters, etc. LLM prompts, right? So this is something which is very important, that we need to put guardrails, the right guardrails, so that respondents do not hijack the overall conversation, right? So what we found in our initial projects, that respondents used to ask a lot of irrelevant questions, irrelevant in terms of related to the product, but not related to what we are asking them to answer. And lastly, I think we are just scratching the tip of the iceberg, right? A lot needs to be done on this side. We will keep working on this side, and definitely happy to share more insights on this as we learn a lot. Thank you.
We have one question. How do AI-powered conversational surveys specifically improve respondent engagement compared to your traditional static survey?
Okay, so I think the first thing we need to understand how things are different in a conversational survey to a normal, or let's say the traditional research surveys, the interface, right? The way the questions are being asked, the way respondent reacts to those questions. It's more like a human being chatting with other human being, right? So that's one of the biggest difference in the way we are actually gauging the overall quality of responses that we are getting, and also the way the respondents are responding to the questions or the surveys.
Since there can be many conversations within the same survey, how do you analyze statistically? Won't it be more like lots of multiple surveys, so it'll be hard to analyze it or have a minimum read?
I think the things are just starting to evolve on the conversation side, right? I think we need to get the proof of the concept right, which we are currently experimenting, right? And it works. I think on the statistical side, we did these studies with 150 respondents in each survey, right? The standard survey and the conversational survey, right? But I think to reach a point where we can say that statistically these things are outperforming your traditional surveys, I think we still need to do a lot more studies, get a lot more data, and get more variability in the data before we actually start commenting on these things that yes, these are statistically superior. From our experience, what we are seeing is that from an engagement point of view, from a response consistency point of view, they are performing better.
Thank you.
Thank you.